What's going on, guys? Welcome back. So we got a how-to video on how to clean out an airbrush, and a lot of you I'm gonna say a lot of you are asking me how I clean my airbrush after clear coat, after splash paints, after all kinds of stuff. So let's go ahead and show you the process on how I do it. So this is a tutorial video on how I clean out my airbrush completely when I'm done with it for the rest of the day, and let's go and putting it back in my case. So the products you're gonna need is in front of you. Some paper towels. You got some of these brushes you can get at like any hardware store or whatever. Some cotton swabs or Q-tips, and what I always use is some lacquer thinner. It's just simple lacquer thinner. You can make your own paint. You can make your own airbrush cleaner, but I just use lacquer thinner because it really works for me. And yeah, so but we got my airbrush. It's dirty inside, and well, let's go ahead and clean it. So the first thing I always do is I don't really clean it in my paint booth because I don't really need to, but you can do it in your paint booth and spray some air out as you need it. But I always clean it in my bench, so let's go ahead and show you what I always do. So I always take off the back area so I can release the airbrush or the needle. So that is there. And this airbrush comes with a little cup protector, so I always put the small parts in there just so I don't lose them. And then next, I'll go ahead and unscrew the front assembly. Also put that in the cup. And then, if you have an airbrush, that needle goes through the airbrush. You can pull out, get your little needle right there, or not needle, like a little needle capper, you want to call it. And then you get your needle right there. As you see, it's pulling out a bunch of paint, and it looks pretty nasty. So go ahead and get your paper towel or napkin, whatever you want to use. Put a little lacquer thinner on there and just really just wipe the needle down. The needle is your most important step of the airbrush. You want to make sure this is very clean, as you see. So you don't want no paint on that. Okay, so you gotta paint everything's out. You go ahead and move your little cap right there too, your handle, and then you can get your cotton swabs and go ahead and dip your cotton swab in the lacquer thinner and just simply get in there very deep and get all the excess paint out. And do this multiple times. As you see, it's just really cleans it out. Get the cup also, as you see, the paint is coming off very easily. Now this is splash paints I'm cleaning out. I also sprayed clear coat before this paint, so as you see, it's coming out very nice. So there's clear coat, there's splash paints, there's all kinds of paint in here left over from today. Well, when I sprayed. So you just want to keep doing that over and over and over again till you get no more paint, until no paint comes out with your Q-tip or cotton swab. And then next thing you want to do is get your needle. And I always run the needle through the airbrush multiple times until there's no more paint coming out. See, there's more paint still on the needle. You get your paper towel, wipe off the excess paint, and just keep doing this over and over and over also until no more paint comes out with the needle and it's going through the airbrush. So it's still coming out. You just keep doing this process over and over again. I know it's a long process, but trust me, you gotta do this, because if you don't do this, your airbrush will not really work too well in the future. So just keep doing it over and over again until no more paint comes out of the needle, or with the needle I should say. And that looks pretty good. As you see, no more paint is coming out. The needle is clean. So that is done. So next thing you can get is get your paper towel again, put one more lacquer thinner on there, and then you can go ahead and get your cup really good. Make sure you clean your cup very, very cleanly and very nicely. As you see, very nice. And go ahead and clean outside of your cup. Getting excess paint, just in case you spilled any paint or whatever. And then you're good. So next thing is, if you want to go ahead and get the extra step, you don't want to run your needle through over and over and go over again. You go ahead and get these little cleaning brushes, you want to call it, and then these simply just different sizes. There's a big, small, medium, you know. So get the size a little bit bigger than your hole for your needle, and just run it through the gun as you see going in there, and just simply back it out. Go in, out, just get any excess paint. Go in there very nicely deep, and a lot of things are saying, you know, inappropriate. I know a lot of you guys are probably saying, yeah, that's what she said. So, but yeah, so you got to see how the brush is going in there, and just back it out, and back it right out. And as you see, there's some pink coming out with it. Get your towel, and just get that out of there. So that's pretty much how I clean out my airbrush. It's very simplified. So the cup is very clean. Now the paints I use, which is splash paints, the clear coat I use, it cleans out very nicely. So you don't have to do any thorough cleaning. You got the little tip here. The tip doesn't really get too messy. Just in case it does, just get a little Q-tip and just, you know, get it off. Get any excess paint off. Any excess paint inside. Let's see, that looks pretty darn good. And get your little needle cap. This doesn't really get too dirty either, but as you see, very simplified. And that gun is good. And go ahead and run your needle again through one more time, just a thorough check. Make sure there's absolutely zero paint coming out, and there it is, not a single drop of paint coming out. And now you're good to assemble the airbrush. So what I always do is you make sure your handle goes in, because the airbrush or the needle goes through the handle. That pushes down pretty good. Put your needle in there. Put your needle capper. I'm not sure what it's called. I'm not an airbrush expert. Back that up. Get in. Very tight. Make sure your needle is pushed through all the way, because always this will be very loose and you have some problems. Then get your needle locker and lock your needle down in place. Make sure it goes back and forth. Good. And then you go ahead and get your end of your airbrush, squeeze it on, and make sure it works pretty good. And there it is. A very nice clean airbrush, and ready to go for your next model or whatever you do with your airbrush. And it's good for your next adventure on what you're painting next. So, like I said, it's very simplified. The method I use, it cleans out splash paints very well. Clear coat my 2K clear, all kinds of stuff. Before I made this video, I actually used 2K to clear a body, and then I used splash paint on something else for the interior, I believe, and I did some other paints for the chassis and stuff. So there's probably 3 or 4, maybe 6 different brands of paint in here from, you know, airbrushing. And then, you know, as you see, it looks fantastic. Now when you're switching between colors, so say like you've done a body color, then you're done for a body, you want to move on to the interior color, just go ahead and simply just put some lacquer thinner or any airbrush cleaner you want to use. I know some manufacturers uses airbrush cleaner. You want to use them, perfect. What I simply use is just lacquer thinner. That's all I use. It doesn't hurt the airbrush, it doesn't harm the airbrush. It cleans the airbrush very nicely, and it cleans out all kinds of paints. So just get your lacquer thinner, fill up the cup like halfway. Then what you can do is get your end of your finger, or just get a little piece of rag like this, plug up, and then pull your needle back. Well, I locked my needle. Then pull your needle back, and then it'll create bubbles in your airbrush. It'll clean it out. It cleans your cup out, and then spray the excess paint out, and then go ahead and get your rag and just clean out the cup. And make sure your cup's clean. That's pretty much all you need to do. And once you start your next color, go ahead and put your next color in, spray out any excess paint in there, and then you should be good to go to spray your next color. But when you're going to do clear coat, make sure you clean your gun out thoroughly like this, because in clear coat it's clear, obviously you don't want any paint in there. So make sure before you do clear coat, make sure you do a thorough clean, what I just showed you here, and then you're good to go. But I'm done with the airbrush for now. It's going to go back in this case over here, and it's ready for the next model I do. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helped you. If it did, please leave the like button and comment down below if you have any questions. I'll provide a link in the description, everything I use, all the products I use in this video. So you can ask me where I got it from. And yeah, but other than that, guys, that's it for this video. Like I said, I hope it helped you. And until my next video, I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.